Welcome to the Studio Chat podcast, the podcast designed to be your companion in the journey of self-discovery. I'm Barbara Thompson, your host and a dedicated therapist. I'm the founder and owner of Self-Care Studio, a private counselling practice. With my clients and courses that I create on this podcast, I'm committed to ensuring that you have the support that you need. I created this podcast as a space for you to feel a sense of connection and a reminder that you're not alone in this thing that we call life, this adventure. This podcast is your weekly reminder to trust yourself, live life authentically, and embrace the path that is uniquely yours. Together, we'll explore ways to break free from people-pleasing, overthinking, allowing you to claim your time and energy to live life on your terms. You'll be joined by myself as I take you through some episodes, or during the year I'll have some special self-care experts as guests on my podcast. So if you're ready to step into a life that's truly for you, join me on this journey. Let's navigate the twists and turns of life together, and more importantly, live your life for you. So thank you so much for choosing to spend some time with me today. Let the studio chat begin. Hello guys, and welcome back to the final episode of the Studio Chat podcast for 2024. This is episode 130. I'm Barbara Thompson, your host, and I can't believe that we've reached the end of another incredible year together. Thank you so much for all your support and comments and messages throughout the year. It's just such an honor to I just started this podcast because one night I couldn't sleep. And through this podcast, I have met some incredible people from all over the world who I still talk to today. And that it's also worked out to be a great referral network for my clients too. So if I'm working with someone and I'm like, okay, I can't quite help them with that, but I know who can. And it's such a great community and a network. And I know people, when they've been on my podcast, will connect with other guests that have been on my podcast. And there's like a mini community within the community. And I'm just so grateful. It's just such, I love my podcast. It's such a passion project for me. And it just enables me to connect with you. And it's a cool way of, wow, I don't know if you heard that. So I have scheduled this time to record this podcast. And as I sit here, I'm looking out the window and it is bucketing down. So it's the end of November here, which is, almost into summer. It's a warm day, but it is pouring with rain. And we've got a thunder and lightning storm happening right now. So I hope you won't hear too much of it as I'm, summing up the podcast for the year. But yeah, so I just want to recap some of the highlights for this year. So this year I recorded 47 episodes and just had some really inspiring, knowledgeable, incredible guests from all over the world, from personal training to somatic healing to IVF, seed cycling, financial advice, even a dog nutritionist. And we just explored all dimensions of wellness and personal growth. And that's what I'm all about. Let's look at the root cause of things. There's so many reasons why we feel the way we do, why we think the way we do, why we act the way we do, and how to take care of ourselves. And I always say that we're never shown or never taught. I know it sounds so simple. It's like, I know how to take care of myself. But in today's world that we live in, we're not equipped to live in the things that we see and hear and have to do on a daily basis. And so when it comes down to taking care of ourselves, I'm a true believer that we need to learn how to take care of ourselves, and we need to take charge of ourselves and take some ownership as well. So by having this podcast, it's a great way for people to not only connect with people from around the world and hear some experts in their field, but it just gives people an insight to be like, to pick and choose. Like, okay, I might try some energetic work, or I might go see an osteopath, or I might learn more about narcissistic abuse, so, or seed cycling, or like it's such a cool thing that you can come in and out of in these episodes. And that's what I always wanted to create, is like a library and a catalog of certain topics and certain guests that you guys can always refer to as an if needed and when you need it. So I'd love to share. I think what I love about this podcast is it's a space for us to have deeper conversations about how to take care of ourselves and the holistic living side of things. So this year, episode 96 is when I spoke to Nova Gibson, all about narcissistic abuse. And she's a narcissistic counselor. And I just think it was one of the most downloaded episodes this year. And my take homes for that was they're all around us. And I think it's really an easy thing to, when we're in any form of relationship, whether it's a working relationship, a friendship, a relationship, we always tend to blame ourselves first. And if you have all the information, then you can make an informed decision. So I love that in that episode, Nova and we spoke about mothers of narcissists, trauma bonding. We spoke about if you have children with a narcissist, how you go through that, and just how you heal and move on from a narcissistic abusive relationship. Like, it's not a normal relationship. That's the thing. It's not a normal relationship, and it can't end as a normal relationship. Then episode 128, when I spoke, it's all about lymphatic massage, which I love. It's something that, I've recently discovered, and I just love how the lymphatic system works. And I really think everyone should know a little bit about it, and just the benefits of doing the lymphatic massage on yourself. And it's just linked to so many things, like a better night's sleep, reduced brain fog, enhanced mental clarity. And I really think that episode is a really good one to listen to. So that was episode 128. And then one that was downloaded a lot from you guys this year was episode 87. And we headed over to Austin, Texas to talk to my friend Melina Kane. And Melina is a certified life coach and professional organizer. And I love speaking to Melina because it's so true. Transforming your space to transform your life. And it's just the fact that discovering, she's really good at helping mums who are drowning in like a season of overwhelm, where like what we do is really reflected in our home, in our heart, and our habits. And I just think it was such a cool episode because we spoke about the difference of decluttering and organizing, and how to do a power 15-minute declutter. And she gave us like some really cool ways to, if we feel overwhelmed by clutter, where to start, and gave us some takeaways to clear our nightstand, our entryway of our house, and our desk space. So I loved that chat with Melina, and I think you guys did too. Then we moved over to the final episode I want to mention as we wrap up Studio Chat podcast for 2024 was episode 107, where I spoke to Dr. Alexia Miller, and it was all about nourishing dogs and ourselves. And as you may or may not know, I have a little puppy who is just over a year old. And up until this point, all of my animals have been kibble fed. And I didn't really think too much of it because I trusted the vets, and I trusted that's just what you do. And I would buy expensive vet approved only food. And then I just started to do my own research, and I was like, oh, I think there might be more into this. And when I met Dr. Alexia, it was nice to have her on the podcast because, she's a big believer in a little bit about we talked about the human dog connection and how the dogs are mirrors of us. And I really liked that. That really made sense. And it was just all about a fresh food approach diet. And honestly, 107, check that out. If you've got a dog or your family members have dogs, I highly recommend listening to that episode. And as we move into this time of year, it's always, and I feel like it comes up so quickly and it goes really quickly. But when we're in the middle of it, it seems really overwhelming. And, one of the things I'd love you to think about is this is all practice too. This stuff doesn't come easy. Practice saying no when you feel overcommitted or you don't have any time for yourself. It's so important. And to stay present in the moment. So just to help you with if you get caught up in stress or overthinking, which is so common at this time of year. And I'd love you to help yourself with some grounding practices. So just take a few moments, like any breath work, writing in your journal, just taking a moment, because all our emotions run high for this time of year. And it's a really tough year for many people. Like a lot of people think Christmas and New Year is a celebration time and it's happiness and it's happy, joy. And absolutely it can be. But also for a lot of people, it can remind people of the year they've had. They might have had a tough year, might have lost some really special people or special animals in our life. It can also really emphasize the haves and haves nots. Like when you are on social media and you're looking at people and thinking, oh, they're in a happy relationship, or they get to go overseas for a holiday and I'm stuck here, or I'm working, or, just the whole comparison thing can really ramp up at this time of year and everyone looks really happy. And, you might be going through some stuff at the moment. So please be kind to yourself because emotions do run high at this time of year. And remember that your energy is really precious. When we're around people, take note of when you're not with them, how they made you feel. Like when you leave someone and you go home at night, do you feel like tired and drained, or do you feel like full of energy? Keep note of that, of people, and fuel your body with, like, these are the time when you have the yummy treats and the drinks and, have all those things, but just make sure that you actually have some good nutrition on the side too. And one thing I'm really big at this time of the year is we're so caught up in our brain that we can think of all the things that went wrong, all the things that were a struggle and the tough times. I'd love you just to spend a few moments reflecting on your wins this year. Did you have any? If you didn't, that's okay. But if the good moments or a happy moment, or, start reflecting on that and looking at your intentions for 2025. I can't believe I'm just saying that, 2025. So for next year, the plan for the Studio Chat podcast, can't believe we were going to be going into another year. So this is episode 130. So next year, I'm really excited because we're going to be diving deeper into holistic health, your mind, body, and your soul. There's going to be more solo episodes just from me. So me and you hanging out. We will explore topics like emotional wellness, nourishment, and all sorts of topics that you guys want to talk about. So anything around routines, integrative healing. We're going to have more guests on my podcast as well. But I want to hear from you. What topics and subjects would you like me to cover next year? There's going to be more of an emphasis on nutrition as well, as I'm deeply in a extension of my nutrition course at the moment. So I will be giving you more information and episodes on that. But yeah, please just reach out if you do listen to my podcast and you're like, hey, I'm going through this at the moment. Can you give me a bit more information on this? And, at the moment, cost of living is high. So you might listen to my podcast because you would love to come to therapy, but at the moment it's not really in the budget. So I'm more than happy if there's something you're going through right now, or there's a subject you would like me to talk about or have a guest on, please just send a message in my inbox. It'll all be, I'll keep all your details confidential. But, if there's something that you would like me to talk about, please reach out, because this is what this podcast is for. This podcast is for you guys, for us connecting a community together. And yeah, I'd love to bring more of that to you guys. I don't know if you can hear that. Tully's playing with her squeaky toy. But from me, as a wrap up for the final episode this year, it does blow my mind that you guys listen to me. I think, if anyone's got a podcast, you've done a podcast before, it's such a surreal feeling, because especially when you do a solo episode, right now, I'm just talking to myself. But I know so many of you, when you listen to a podcast, it feels like the person is right there. And something that I do want to bring next year to this podcast is I want to do more of these. I want to do more of this, that if I'm in your ear holes, that sounds weird, doesn't it? Well, it's technically ear holes, ears, earlobes. If I'm in there, and I think you listen to my podcast because I do have a way with words sometimes because I just say things before I think about them. But if I'm in your ears, I'd love my podcast to be something that I'm right there with you and we're just hanging out and we're talking. And also I'd love my podcast to be something that you're out at lunch talking to someone and they're like, oh yeah, I've wanted to know about lymphatic massage, or I've wanted to know about narcissism, or I want to know more about divorce or this. And you go, actually, I've listened to this podcast. And that's what I would love to create here. But when we're doing these solo episodes, it's just me and you, and we're hanging out and we're just having a chat. And I think I don't edit my podcast. I don't cut anything out or change anything. It's real and raw, and that's something that I'll always keep. I'm a big fan of authenticity, and sometimes with podcasts when they have, I know it's like people earn a living off a podcast, but there's ads and then it's all edited perfectly and stuff, and it's just like I don't want my podcast to be perfect. I want it to be messy and real, and I don't know, make an idiot of myself sometimes and just be real. I think that's just what we're missing is, I was speaking to someone the other day about I'd love us to be in a world where we could just be ourselves. And I know a lot of us don't know what ourselves are, but what I mean by authentically is in just wearing what you want, saying what you want, being who you are, and just living in yourself. Um, how freeing and how peaceful is it to live a life where you're living for you? And it's something that I recently, in the last couple of years, have really lent into. And it's until you're there, you don't even think that it is possible, but it's just something, coming from me, who was such a overthinker and people pleaser and literally would live a life for other people, so much so that when I would go out to functions or I'd go out on a date with someone that asked me what restaurant or what drink did I want or what I wanted on a platter or anything, and I actually couldn't answer them. And I know I'm intelligent and know a lot of things like all of us do. But when it came to things like that, I just didn't have a voice. And it's so nice now understanding why I say what I do, why I do the things I do, and being at peace with it and knowing who I am. Yeah, I can't recommend it enough. It's pretty awesome. But this stuff is called like work, and it's work for a reason. But if you want to know more about that, please message me and I'll be more than happy to give you a bit more information about that. But anyway, as I sign off, I almost don't want to sign off. I just want to sit here and keep talking forever. And you know that I probably could do that. I reckon I could probably record the longest podcast episode ever. Yeah. Anyway, I love you guys. I love this community, and I'm looking forward to 2025 just being a big year in all aspects, all of you living your life the way you want to and being healthy and happy. And yeah, that's just what I want for everybody. So thank you so much for, checking into this episode. It has been a while since I dropped an episode. So yeah, thanks so much for your support. I see the numbers each week when they get downloaded. I see all your messages. I do reply to all the messages that I get. So please send me a message. And, I look forward to seeing you on the other side. I look forward to seeing you in January 2025 with guests and amazing solo episodes. And yeah, please take care of yourself. Be safe. Have fun. And I look forward to talking to you and seeing you next year. Thank you so much for tuning into today's episode. I hope this conversation has added value to your self-care journey and inspired positive changes in your life. If you enjoyed this episode, consider sharing it with a friend who might benefit from this episode. Don't forget to subscribe on Spotify or on your favourite podcast platform to stay up to date on future episodes. Your support means the world to me. I genuinely love hearing from you, so please take a moment to leave a review. Let me know which part of today's episode resonated with you the most. Your feedback guides the direction of this podcast, and I really appreciate each and every single one of you for being a part of this community. To fall in love with yourself is the first secret to happiness. To find out a bit more about the Studio Chat podcast, head over to my Instagram page, Studio Chat Podcast, or if you want to find out a bit more about my counselling private practice, head over to Instagram on self_care_studio. I'm really looking forward to seeing you on the next episode. Until next time, take care of yourselves and keep embracing the journey of self-discovery.